Same old problems, same old solutions for Manchester City. But what are those problems? I'll get onto that shortly. But I'll tell you what, these problems, they've been evidently clear for the last 3 years. And what have we done in the last 3 years? Oh, nothing much. Nothing much. You know, just a treble. Just a Club World Cup. Being the world champions of football. The UEFA Super Cup as well. 4 Premier League titles in a row. You know, nothing much. Other than that, it's pretty boring being a City fan, because that is the statements that I'm hearing from some City fans, which is gobsmacking. Gobsmacking that we're predictable. It's too predictable to watch Manchester City. What, because we win all the time? Is that boring you? Oh, I do apologise for watching this team having to win all the time. Oh, God. I mean, mate, I used to watch Manchester City draw 1-1 away to Mac Town, down in League One, what was all called Division 2 back in the old days, you know, in 1999. We used to be absolutely crap. You have no idea what boredom is. If this bores you, you know, just because there's an element of predictability to it, blame the opposition. Do not blame Manchester City for the fact that there's 11 players behind the ball making the game boring. Yeah, it's attack versus defence, and whose fault's that? It's the opposition, just because we've got elite quality players that are very affordable, mind you. You know, the likes of Erling Haaland's 50 plus million, Gvardiol 70 million. You know, that's expensive compared to the rest of our players. You look at Kovacic, 25 million, Akanji, 15 million, Ederson, 30 million. All these positions and players that I'm naming, you look at the likes of Arsenal, Liverpool, United, Chelsea, all of these teams that have bought players in those positions for sometimes double, sometimes even treble what we have spent on what we consider our centre midfielder or right centre back or goalkeeper. You look at all of the money that's being spent elsewhere. It's nothing to do with money. It's just sheer immense quality from Manchester City that is boring the opposition into the point of just having to defend. And that's boring to you, is it? Ugh, just boring Man City, just winning again. Is that what it is? I understand why the rivals are bored, but Manchester City fans are now saying they're getting bored and being predictable. I'm sorry, but piss off then, to be honest. Piss off. You're not wanted. You're not welcome. I do not want you around this football club. You're not wanted. You know, because back when we were absolutely shite, that was boring, and there was an army of City fans who would stick by him. An army of us. You know, some of the records that we would break in terms of attendances down in League One, and we're winning Premier League football matches with last gasp winners like this from John Stones in a game which was attack versus defence. You know, they had everyone behind the ball for the duration of that second half, and Manchester City eventually got the job done. You know, and these are the solutions that we're talking about. That Pep just gets it done. We just get the job done eventually. Now, the problems for Manchester City, they're evident. Yeah, we're conceding too many big chances. As you can see, the stats have been on your screen all along. They've got 2 big chances, somehow getting 0.97 XG Wolves from that game. Somehow, that's because Manchester City in the way we play. Now, I would argue that the way we play, it's the risk and reward. I said it in my match reaction yesterday that this is a system that fans have gotten used to, surely by now, but clearly not, because we're complaining about the same old things, and I understand why it is frustrating to concede these chances, but you've got to think about the other end of the pitch. The reason why we're winning games is because we're sending Gvardiol forward, and what do you do when you send Gvardiol forward? You leave a big hole behind you, but what do you also do when you send Gvardiol forward? You see a ball flying into the top corner and making the game 1-1. So, give and take. You know, you've got to accept this as Manchester City fans. You can't just expect it to be perfect and Manchester City to score goals galore and win games 3 or 4-0 every game but keep clean sheets. There's no football team in the world that's ever done that. I'm sorry. There's no football team that exists, you know, that goes through a season perfect like that. And this is the demands that Manchester City fans are setting on the players right now. And it's harsh. It's too harsh. We got the job done yesterday. The solution was John Stones coming up for a corner and smashing one right off his forehead. Gvardiol putting one top bins. These are the solutions that we've been doing all season, and I would argue that the set piece experts that are Arsenal conceded a set piece against Manchester City, taking 2 points off them and gaining a point ourselves with a 2-2 draw. Same yesterday against Wolves. We got 3 points instead of 1 because of a set piece. Once again, Manchester City. But we will not get the credit for the set piece situation. And with regards to whether it was offside or not, I mean, absolutely ludicrous. Some of the inept people out there, the lack of intellect there, the intellectually barren individuals out there talking about, of course he's offside, comparing it to past decisions. There are so many details involved in an offside decision that need to be understood by someone with a footballing brain who's at least played the game at Sunday League level. You know, if you've not played a game of football, I understand why you're bitching and moaning. But if you've not played the game at any level, clearly so many of you haven't, that clearly you don't understand the difference between standing in front of the goalkeeper and standing to the side of the goalkeeper. And you only need to look at the player's reaction. Not a single Wolves player went, oh, he's offside, he's offside. Even the goalkeeper, Jose Sarr, lay flat on his back in the goal, accepting defeat, knowing full well that he had nothing to do with Bernardo Silva standing in front of him as to why that goal went into the back of the net. Nothing to do with Bernardo Silva. And Jose Sarr was the proof in the pudding in that situation. He didn't go, referee, referee. Bernardo Silva was standing 5 yards to the right of me. Do you know what I mean? Like, give over, mate. It's not in a million years. And common sense prevailed. And well played, Chris Kavanagh, for having a big pair of bollocks to saying, here's the subjective view on VAR. No, I'm sticking with my decision because I believe he's not interfering with play. Correctamundo, Chris Kavanagh. Well done. Good bit of refereeing. But instead, you're going to get the morons who hate Manchester City. They're not moronic for hating Manchester City. In fact, they fuel me. They fuel the club. Our success is built on the foundation of the hatred of the rest, as far as I'm concerned, because if you only need to look back at the 115 charges when we went and won the treble, those were handed out on the 6th of February 2022, and then 2023, and then after that, we go and win the bloody treble, mate. Undefeated until we faced Brentford in the last game of that season, where the league had already been won. And then we lost that game. And we went undefeated from that day onwards. So yes, we use your hatred as fuel. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Right, I'll leave the stats on the screen for you for a couple of seconds. Let's have a look through them because we dominated the ball. City with 1.62 possession, 22 shots, 7 on target. It is concerning that we concede these chances so openly. They're not being ignored by me. There is one player, though, that is perfect for the solution that's not available, unfortunately, and that's Rodri. You're not just talking about Rodri and his defensive know-how. It's the other end of the pitch. The counter-press is so important to Manchester City. What was once known as hounding players or getting the ball back as quick as ever, that was when Barcelona was first seen doing it with Pep. When you lose the ball, surrounded by players, or having Busquets or whoever getting into the face of the opposition once they've lost the ball. And in that situation, Rodri is immense at it. Kovacic, it's a weak side to his game, but he's got other sides to his game that is very, very good. That's a weakness in Kovacic's game for me. His counter press is not good. So when City lose the ball on the edge of the opposition's box, Rodri's just positional and intelligence and positional awareness is so good. Puts himself in a place where he can get that ball back immediately and prevent Wolves or whoever it may be from hitting us on the counter-attack. It's a problem, and we haven't got Rodri for the rest of the season, so get used to it. We're going to be conceding goals in big one-on-one situations like that because of the way we play, but it's the other end of the pitch. You know, if we go 1-0 up, we can start playing a little bit more reserved and maybe not send Gvardiol forward, but we've got to get that lead first. And I think the first goal is becoming so important for Manchester City. So if we can start scoring earlier rather than going 1-0 down so often, I think we'll win games more comfortably than this. But still, I think we fully deserve to win the game. I think it's harsh to be talking about City in a negative light after winning the game yesterday, but so many City fans are, and I think it's shameful. I really do. Ederson. Decent game. I mean, did he have much to do, really? One massive save that he made in the first half of that second big chance prevents it from becoming 2-0 rather than 1-0. Couldn't have done anything about the first goal. I would argue no one could have really done anything. People are expecting Rico Lewis to teleport himself somehow. I'm not sure how you understand how being a human works. I don't think the laws of physics do not allow Rico Lewis to teleport himself 50 yards in the space of a second. I'm sorry, it's not possible. But Ederson, yeah, I'm giving him a 7 for that save. He's getting a big bump in his score because that was so important. We wouldn't have won the game yesterday if not for Ederson making that save in the first half. So 7 out of 10 for him. John Stones, Johnny Stones, Johnny Stones. Don't you just love him? I bloody love him. 90 minutes of football, 98 touches, one incredibly important goal. Look at them aerial duels as well, mate, getting up. His overall performance was, he wasn't too much defending for him to do, but I thought, he was okay, kept the ball moving when he was sent forward, but coming up and scoring that goal, you're getting a massive bump in your score, mate. Absolutely vital contribution to the end of the game there. And 7.5 is fair, I think. Josko, on the other hand, we're not just talking about his defensive contribution, which is reasonable, it's okay, but I mean, going the other end of the pitch, mate, like the guy's just, you look at other players, look at rival fans now when they see this guy get the ball and scoring goals with 6 goals to his name already in a City shirt. He's ridiculous. The man is ridiculous. Just to ping one. He only had one shot in the game and that ball flew into the top corner. The guy's ridiculous. Absolutely sensational. So we're not just talking about, oh, it's an equaliser. The level of quality from the goal as well. An absolutely sensational goal from Josko Gvardiol. 3 key passes as well, pulling strings, left, right and centre. 2 crosses are a little bit wayward, but we're going to talk about crosses in a minute. And 8.5, man of the match for Josko Gvardiol. Sensational player. What a signing he is. Ruben Diaz, solid at the back. I love that little effort in the second half. It was good to see him hitting that ball cleanly. It was a good effort, good save from Jose Sa, who produced a number of good saves in that game to prevent the game from being 4 or 5, which it could quite easily have been yesterday. Decent interception, won his aerial duels. Yeah, he was okay. Not too much defensively to do. He's involved heavily with the ball there. You can see with 129 touches. But 7 out of 10 for Ruben. I've given Rico a 6.5, but I still think his defensive contribution was good. On the ball, he was a bit loose with it here and there. I felt like he could have got involved in the attacking play a little bit better. There was a couple of underlap runs that he did on that inside channel down the right. That his link-up play with Savinho wasn't too good on times, and I think that's all equally Savinho's fault for not being able to link up, and just the connection between the two. There was a little bit of timing of the run, timing of the pass wasn't always quite cohesive between those two. But defensive numbers, arguably the best defender on the pitch for Manchester City. He's got better defensive numbers than Ruben Diaz. He's got better defensive numbers than Stones and Gvardiol. 2 interceptions, a clearance and 2 tackles. So I do think, again, City fans are picking on him. I don't know why. I don't know why they're picking on him. We're talking about a 19-year-old lad. You're an absolute disgrace, to be honest, to be picking on a 19-year-old lad and saying he's useless and he's crap, X, Y, Z, whatever you want to call him. I think it's a disgrace. He's 19. You get behind a 19-year-old lad. If he's 26 with experience and you want to, fine. Yeah, I understand that. There's a level of expectancy that comes with an age in certain player. He's 19. You get behind him, you fools. Honestly, 6.5, yeah, contribution on the ball, could have been a lot better. Defensively, sound, 6.5 for Rico. Ilkay, yeah, I talk about distribution on the ball, I touches, mate. He was shocking yesterday. I mean, 3 key passes, very well done for getting those 3 key passes. But I mean, a lot of those are corners, by the way. In fact, I imagine all of those are corners. 11 crosses, 1 of them on the money. Should we say it's good defensive movement from Wolves, keeping the ball out of their box, or getting it out of their box rather? But I'm talking about touches. I'm talking about 5-yard passes from Ilkay Gundogan, passes that are going out for throw-ins when it's like very simple stuff, getting in the way of other City players. And there was a moment that I'm going to show you shortly, a clip I'm going to show you about with Nunes when he came onto the pitch. It was a bit like, he looks lost on the pitch at times, Ilkay Gundogan. He really does, and dribbled past twice as well. Like, no defensive protection in that midfield, asking Kovacic to do all the work defensively with that level of it's too easy, and you hope in the second half of the season Ilkay Gundogan can kick on and improve and reach the standards that we know we can get from Ilkay Gundogan, because I mean, Pep kept him on for the 90 minutes and took Kovacic off, which surprised me. It did. Kovacic, 6.5. The game was quiet for him, really. I felt like there wasn't that much to do defensively. He's got a tackle to his name, won half his ground duels. It was reasonable from Kovacic, keeping the ball ticking. Nothing too glamorous to speak of. I feel like he's just positionally, he just lacks a little bit of awareness here and there, which is just, you're talking about Rodri and comparing him to Rodri, and he's not doing a bad job of it, is he? He's standing instead of Rodri. It's not an easy thing to do. And he's doing a very good job of it. We're not talking about, we miss Rodri that much. There are these little moments, chances being given to the opposition. I feel like the team collectively could position themselves better, but he does have a vital role in preventing that ball from getting out. And the counter press is something that I think Kovacic needs to improve on a little bit. But he was all right. Nothing glaringly wrong with his game yesterday. So 6.5 for Kovacic. Nunes, right, I'm giving him a 6.5, and I nearly gave him a 7, to be honest, because we're talking about 13 minutes of football. But watch this. Right, first of all, you've got Nunes getting involved, getting his body in the way. Bang, yeah, that's my ball. I'm going to get control of this. Right, I've got it now. Oh, no, Gundogan's coming. Thanks, mate. Cheers, Gundo. I had that ball. And play the way you're facing, mate. I've got the ball. I'm clearly in control of this situation. Gundogan comes in. Thanks very much for getting in the way there, Gundo. Causes chaos, gets the ball taken off him. Taking the ball towards the Wolves player rather than where Nunes was going, who was taking it away. And now we're in trouble, big trouble. And you're thinking 93rd minute, this is going to be 2-1 to Wolves and we're going to lose the bloody game. But look who gets back. Look at that. Mate, I love it. I'm loving it. I'm feeling it. I'm in the game right now, mate. I live for that shit, Matheus Nunes. Do you know what I mean? That tackle wins us the game. It wins us the game. And not only that, the guy goes up the other end of the pitch, and here he is receiving a ball from Erling Haaland, and guess what he does? Yeah, he does. The shot's not great. He slips, but he wins a corner. And what happens after that? We win the game. So in the space of a minute, Matheus Nunes has come on, prevented the embarrassment from Ilkay Gundogan, who gave that ball away in the first place, wins a tackle, a vitally important tackle, and the technique to tackle from behind and win the ball. That's insane defensive qualities that he's shown there. The speed to get back, and then the speed to get up the other end of the pitch, win us a corner, and wins us the match. You know what? A 6.5 is harsh, but I've made the graphic now, so it's too late. I can't be asked going back and changing it, but let's say it's a 7. Phil Foden assists the goal for John Stones, whips in that corner. 2 crosses, both on the money from Phil Foden. Not too much to speak of outside of that. A couple of nice little moments where he linked up well with Grealish down the left side of the pitch. He was all right in that regard. 24 minutes of football, but vitally important assist for Phil Foden. He really needs to kick on. Having not started the game again, it's concerning. Why is he not starting the game? It's interesting I'd like to know why. I would love to know. 6.5 for Phil Foden, though. Jack Grealish, another 6.5. I felt like 3 key passes, mate, in 17 minutes. Very good attacking contribution. Didn't take on his fullback enough. He was shepherded more than anything. He was running with the ball. He was running at his fullback, but never attempted any dribble to actually beat him, unfortunately. But, 6 crosses in that time as well. Which only 1 was on the money as well. He needs to improve on that, as did pretty much all of the City players need to improve on their crossing, bar Phil Foden, who in the last game got 3 out of 3 crosses, and this game 2 out of 2, Phil Foden. So the rest of them need to work on their crossing. They really do, because the man in the middle, we all know who that is. He feeds off them, and if you're not delivering it, he's going to go hungry, unfortunately. But Jack Grealish, reasonable performance, 6.5 for his substitute appearance. Bernardo Silva, the numbers surprised me. I thought he had a really good game, and I still believe that he did have a very good game. Impacted the game. A lovely shot in the first half, produced a good save from Jose Sarr. Heavily involved in the second goal as well, with the interference that they're calling it. But what he did was very clever. He was onside when he was interfering, and then he wasn't involved when the possibility of him being offside came into play. But no, the numbers aren't amazing. Ground Jules needs to work on that. But the fact that his intelligence in the midfield, you could just bounce the ball off him, you know what I mean? Like, you pass it and you'll get it back. And Bernardo Silva was finding pockets and bringing others into play really, really well in the centre of Manchester City's midfield yesterday. And that's where I see him. I don't see him as a right winger. And now he's going home with a Harry Potter-like scar, thanks to Phil Foden, who decided to boot him in the forehead. So, you're a wizard, Bernardo. Jeremy Doku. Sensational first half. Got himself an assist for the Josko Gvardiol goal. The dribble attempts are brilliant. I don't know why Pep brought him off. I felt like he was one of our main threats throughout the game, but he brings him off on the 66th minute. I was a bit disappointed in Pep's decision-making yesterday. I felt like Foden should have started. Gundogan shouldn't. I was pleased with the selection of the 2 wingers as well. I also credit to Pep for that. But the substitutions were odd as well. I also felt like he kept bringing substitutes to stand on the touchline for 10 minutes. Like, are you making your mind up or what, mate? Like, you've said Phil Foden's coming on. He stood there for about 10 minutes before he actually came on. And the same for Nunes, who stood there for about 5 minutes before he came on. I don't know what Pep was doing with the substitutions yesterday. I thought they were odd. And I do think the Doku should have stayed on, because I felt like he was offering a threat yesterday. When I saw Foden coming on, I thought, right, Gundo's coming off. And we're bringing Foden on for more potency in that midfield. It was a strange one, but I thought he had a good game yesterday. 15 ground jewels, he won 10 of them. I love them both. Savinho and Doku, you're going to see his ground jewels as well. He didn't have as good a game as Doku, but I felt like their intensity is something Manchester City fans can get excited about. But 8 out of 10 for Jeremy Doku. Right, Savinho, again, 15 ground jewels. He only won 7 of them compared to Doku's 10. He only completed 2 out of the 7 dribble attempts compared to 6 out of 7 for Jeremy Doku. So Doku had a better game, number-wise, statistically-wise. His finishing, mate, he needs to work on it, Savinho, because there was too many occasions. He got 1 shot on target that was very, very savable and was saved. 3 others, if I remember rightly, There's 4 shots, actually. You can see the 3 that went off target. One wasn't even going down as a shot. He just swung at it and completely missed it in the first half. Another one that went well over the bar with his left foot. And another one in the second half with his right foot. That was horrible, man. Just went over the bar. He's got to learn to be a bit more composed in front of goal. The same can be said about Jeremy Doku, who was a bit wasteful with his shooting in that game. I didn't even put that on the graphic, but he had 3 shots of which none were on target. So same ratio really there. We need to add goals to those 2 players because we become an unstoppable force. You know, if Doku finds the back of the net more often, you add Savinho to that list as well. Haaland, Doku and Savinho. If we had goals from our wing players, then, you know, and that could still come. You know, that Doku he doesn't get 5 games in a row, does he? You know, Doku's in and out. Savinho's in and out. If you give them a run of games to gain momentum and form, the chances are they're going to start finding the back of the net a little bit more frequently. But Savinho, definitely needs to work on that. His shooting boots definitely need sorting out, polishing at least. But yeah, his contribution was reasonable in the first half. I thought dribbling was okay. Link-up play was okay. Putting a lot of crosses as well. 13 crosses, by the way, as well. Very, wasteful there. But 3 being on target, you know, that's not bad in terms of, but the actual ratio is terrible. But getting 3 on target means, it was a case of law of averages. Eventually, you're going to get some of them on the money there. 3 key passes as well isn't bad, so 7 out of 10 for Savinho. Finally, Erling Haaland gets a 5.5. A quiet game for him, a typical quiet game for him, 13 touches, but the reason I'm giving him lower than a 6 this time because I actually thought his movement was poor. I thought his overall contribution, in the very, very minimal amount of contribution that Erling Haaland offered, it was poor. I thought his touch was bad. It was bouncing off him. There was a couple of passes that he just passed straight out for a throw-in. His movement, his decision-making in the box when he was running to the near post, you could call that just a bit of guesswork for Haaland because he's got to guess. Is Doku going to cross this or Savinho or whoever it is? Are they going to cross it near post or far post or cut it back to the penalty spot? Almost every time he chose the wrong option. You know, and is that a little bit of link-up play, a little cohesiveness being missing there from our wide players and Erling Haaland? And the only way that'll ever develop is by time. It needs time. They need time in the oven to cook and build that relationship on the pitch. But if you play Jack Grealish, who arguably has a better relationship, definitely as a friendship, but in terms of on-the-field relationship, I would say Haaland and Grealish have a better relationship. So you're starting to wonder whether Grealish might be the better option. But how do you develop that relationship between Doku and Haaland or Savinho and Haaland if you don't play the 2 wingers? It's a tough one for Pep, but I think he needs to pick 2 wingers now and stick with them. Give him a run of games now, you know, and see what the relationship can develop like between Haaland and Savinho and Doku. I'm really excited about that future, but it didn't work yesterday at all for Erling Haaland, unfortunately. Not his greatest game, 5.5 for him. But ultimately, City got the job done. Blues, what do you think about my ratings? What do you think about the overall aura around Manchester City right now? Predictability, boring, all those terms coming back again. Yet Manchester City have got 3 points. What's there to complain about? Get in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts. Like and subscribe to Typical City, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is Typical City now, holding up silver.